delighted to be invited to institutions of learning. கற்றோருக்கு சென்ற இடமெல்லாம் சிறப்பு என்ற அடிப்படை தத்துவத்தில் வரும் நம் தமிழ் இனத்தில் எங்கேயெல்லாம் கல்வி சரளாக அதுவும் அனைவருக்கும் வாய்ப்பளிக்கும் வகையில் பெரும் வாய்ப்பு இருக்கோ அங்கேயெல்லாம் நான் மிக்க மகிழ்ச்சியுடன் என்றைக்கும் செல்வேன். I say that first as a politician, as a public servant. At least for me, for my family, our history, public service, elected office has always been a means to an end. It is a means for us to get to design policies, frame laws, allocate money to achieve the goals of social justice, inclusion, empowerment, and a harmonious and successful society. அதற்காக தான் அரசியலில் இருக்கிறோம் என்ற காரணத்தினால் there is no greater tool to achieve that broadly in society than education that we have known for more than 100 years from the days of the Justice Party government of 1920-21. Therefore, I am always thrilled to go because I see hundreds and hundreds of students, and it gives me great hope that the future will be bright because we have so many young minds absorbing values, history, learning, developing, thinking, asking questions, and broadly the light of knowledge shall spread throughout our society. It is also a pleasure for me because I consider myself a lifelong student, much longer than my father would have liked. I ended up studying many degrees in many different institutions. Of course, I also went to boarding school and then a couple of years at home. In fact, எனக்கு 40 வயது ஆனவுடன் நான் என் மனைவியிடம் கூறினேன், என் தந்தை என் பாட்டனார் போல் நானும் ஒருவேளை வழக்கறிஞராக பயிற்சி பெற்று செயல்பட்டிருந்தால் சிறப்பாக இருந்திருக்கும் என்று எனக்கு தோணுகிறது. ஏன்னா வேறு 4 வெவ்வேறு டிகிரி வெவ்வேறு மேஜரில் படித்த பிறகும் I have now come to realize maybe I should have been a lawyer like my forefathers. Immediately my wife said to me, "You are not going back for a 5th degree, நீ திருப்பி கல்லூரிக்கு போகக்கூடாது." அப்படின்னா அந்த அளவுக்கு எனக்கு கல்லூரிக்கு போகிறதுக்கு விருப்பம் என்ற காரணத்தினால். And the third reason I'm happy to be here, as the principal said, I am also a former Trichy alumnus. Of course, many years ago, நானும் திருச்சியில் கல்லூரி படிப்பை முடித்தவன் என்ற காரணத்தினால் இங்கே வருவதில் மகிழ்ச்சி அடைகிறேன். I am privileged to be here with the guest of honor who very, very meticulously, as soon as I came here, he pulled out a photograph and showed me when he had been principal at the Xavier's College, where my father had attended a function with him. And so I am doubly privileged to follow in my father's footsteps and be here with this distinguished gentleman. I am also happy to be here with the NIC regional director. I have met him before and I know they do good work, including எங்கள் சட்டமன்றத்தை காகிதமில்லாத சட்டமன்றம் அந்த மாற்றத்திற்கு ஒரு தூணாக இருந்தவர். On a day like today, the thing that strikes me the most, I go to all kinds of functions, I get invited all the time, almost every day I go somewhere new. The great luxury of such visits or such events is to also stimulate my mind, take me out of the usual files and the usual processes. So when I came here, the first thing that occurred to me was the tremendous contribution, as I say again and again, of the Christian missionaries in general, the French Jesuit order, the American missionaries who came and set up the medical missions and the educational institutions. Our society was transformed. Science, knowledge was brought to us at great speed throughout the 1800s and 1900s. And institutions like this remind us that we owe a great debt of gratitude, going back decades, if not centuries, to these selfless people. I've often wondered, why is it that Tamil Nadu has such a high percentage of such institutions? India முழுவதிலும் இந்த மாதிரி கல்லூரிகள், பள்ளிகள் கணக்கெடுத்து பார்த்தால் தமிழ்நாட்டில் அதிக சதவிகிதம். We are only about 6% of the population. My best guess is we have 10, 15, 20% of such institutions, maybe more. And I think it's partly because of our very ancient culture, பல ஆயிரம் ஆண்டுகளாக இருக்கிற கலாச்சாரத்தில் we were also welcoming of people. யாதும் ஊரே யாவரும் கேளிர் என்ற ஒரு தத்துவத்தில் வந்த ஒரு சமுதாயம், ஒரு இனம். யாரெல்லாம் வந்து நம்மளுக்கு உதவி செய்கிறேன்னு சொல்கிறாங்களோ, நம்மளுக்கு கற்றுக் கொடுக்குறேன்னு சொல்கிறாங்களோ, அவங்களையெல்லாம் மகிழ்ச்சியுடன் வரவேற்ற காரணத்தினால் I think we were able to benefit to this extent from the efforts of others. In fact, in particular, if you look at both the history of the French and the Americans, they were both leading examples of the democratization of government, of politics and public formats. And they exported it in their own way. The French were great contributors to the American Revolution, and in many ways the French defined the values of all democracies through the phrase liberty, equality, fraternity. In this particular college, it is amazing for me to know that the education started as early as 1844 in Nagapattinam, shifted here in 1883. In that sense, it predates the Madras University, which was only formed in 1857. So they were even precursors to the notion of higher education at the government, at the crown. But I was also surprised to hear that after coming to this location, Kalluri ஆரம்பிச்சு பல ஆண்டுக்கு பிறகுதான் that the actual church itself was built. So it just shows you the priorities of how important education was to them. I was marveling at this hall because Nanu Poriyal Padichavan, I was just amazed at the brilliant design and the ability to create such a space without any pillars, beams. And I was told this hall was retrofitted into the space between two buildings in 1909. I think it's also a testament to the fact that among the best engineers in the world are the French. The study of architecture, of engineering has a long history in France. And I think this building, this institution broadly, but this particular hall is a great testament to that as well. In the age we live, where everybody is trying to separate, to create other, Nanga, Ninga, Inda Inam, Anda Madam, in the age of division, I think such institutions are a wonderful, wonderful retort, a counter-argument of what a good society should be. In the Kalluriyil, I am very, very certain that many of the students are not Christian. Many of them are Hindu. Many of them follow Islam. In fact, probably, arguably, the most distinguished alumnus, the former President of India, through APJ Abdul Kalam, was himself a follower of the Islamic faith. So such institutions give us faith, give us belief that at the core, the value of any believer is humanity, is the ability to be considerate to others and to create value for society. Peringer Annavai, when he was separating from the DK, forming the DMK for various reasons, he softened the stance of the DK on religion. And he coined very many pithy phrases, as was his talent, his wont. So, of course, we've all heard of நான் தேங்காயும் உடைக்க மாட்டேன், நான் பிள்ளையாரையும் உடைக்க மாட்டேன். அதே போல ஒன்றே குலம் ஒருவனே தேவன். But actually, Anna had a profound insight, which I think we all forget today. When he was asked, what is your view on people of faith, people who follow very scrupulously a particular religion or doctrine, he said, though I am against Mooda Nambike, I am also of the view that faith and belief in God and the fear of God can be a good thing for society. Because he said, if that kind of faith makes a person, a believer, a better human being because that person believes that all humanity is accountable to God for their actions, and therefore that human being is more likely or inclined to be kind and gentle to fellow human beings who are also the children of God, and is less likely to commit wrong things, wrong deeds, or do bad things because of his fear of God, then he says, I think that religion is actually a good thing for society. இப்போ என்ன சொல்றாரு, ஒரு நல்ல மத பின்பற்றுவருடைய அடையாளம் மனித நேயமும் சக மனிதர்களுடைய நல்லா வாழ்வதும் தான் முதல் அடையாளம் என்று சொல்கிறார். We need to be reminded of this in an age where muscular and strident kind of religious expression to the exclusion and othering is seen as a sign of strength or a sign of depth of faith. We need to remind ourselves the true mark of people of faith is gentleness, kindness, inclusion, humanity. As important as tradition is, இத்தகைய பழமை வாய்ந்த சிறப்பு வாய்ந்த கல்லூரிகள் are few and far between. I'd be hard pressed to find more than 2 or 3 institutions that can match this legacy, even in our state, my best guess even in our country. But tradition and legacy cannot be barriers to the change that is required of all of us. எல்லா இடத்துலையும் we are required to innovate, to adapt. Nothing in this world is constant. Everything is changing all the time. And so institutions that have such great legacies are even more duty bound to be at the cutting edge, to see the future, to try and envision what the world will look like and to try and adapt. As I said at St. Xavier's College earlier, about a week or 10 days ago, it is remarkable that an institution that started, in this case in 1844, finally became co-educational in the 1990s, because that is what society requires. We need to educate women equally as we do men. I'm also talking about science, about automation, about technology, about robotics, about all the things that are going to change the world. And I was happy to see in the annual report that the college is, despite its great legacy, is not limiting itself and is continuing to seek transformation and new boundaries and new horizons. In that sense, I must say again that it is a great privilege for me to be here today. I wish this institution continues to innovate, continues to adapt, continues to build on its wonderful legacy, and continues to shine as a beacon for all educational institutions and for our community. Institutions are abstract concepts. ஏதோ சட்டத்தில் போய் ஒன்று ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ணி ஒரு கம்பெனி இல்லை ஒரு ட்ரஸ்ட்டு இல்லை ஒரு ஆர்டர், we say it lasts 100 years, 150 years. The walls last 150 years, the legal documents last 150 years, but the people are changing all the time. Good institutions build cultures that sustain beyond 1 or 2 or 3 generations, and those values and cultures perpetuate through time and establish the value of that institution. In that sense, the true manifestation of an institution are the students, the alumni, the faculty, the former faculty. They are the life form that is the notion of an institution. And so I wish all of you, the human components of this institution, past, present, and those to come, I wish all of you well. I wish you wonderful lives of great impact and happiness. I thank you again for inviting me for this historic occasion, and I conclude my speech.